All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Axanar Confidential number 50. The crazy sounds you hear in the background are three Maligators, better known to the world as Belgian Malinois. Guys, hey, I'm doing a live stream here. How about some courtesy? These dogs, I tell you. Hope everyone's reading me 5x5. Give me a second. I am going to bring in our first very special guest, James Liu. And so, hold on one second here. It's been a crazy day, and we just got James back up on Skype for the first time in years. So hold on a second, and I'm gonna add him in here. I think that's you. There he is. There's James. All right, everyone, say hello to James Liu. James, I'm gonna just give me a second here. I'm gonna make sure you're well situated in this frame. There we go. That looks spot on. How you doing tonight, James?
Oh, it's a beautiful night to be on here.
It's probably a beautiful night in LA. How's the weather out there?
It's perfect. It's t-shirt weather.
I hate you. I so miss it. Now, just so everyone knows, James Liu is an Emmy Award-winning stunt coordinator, as well as an actor, a longtime actor. And guys, sorry, James, I'm dealing with the three foster puppies here. Someone's going to go to timeout. I had to put one of them in timeout today. She did not like it. So, but these are the two most. It's the two most aggressive ones are going at each other, and the male, he's under a cabinet going, I'm just going to sit here and try and go to sleep because
isn't it National
these bitches be
Pet
crazy.
Day?
What's that?
Isn't it National Love Your Pet Day? Someone posted on Instagram.
Oh, is it? Well,
yeah.
We've got 7 pets in this house right now, so it's a little much. It is a little much, but so for everyone, if you're watching now, to the users, I'm going to just some calls. Hey, Paul Osborne is here. Steven Shuey is here. Paul Hollier is here. FFI editor. Cthulhu is here. Oh, that's always worrisome. Is that Jerry Cthulhu or is that just Cthulhu? Craig Severis, how are you? Old Code. Hi, Turbine. JC Cardenas, how are you? Charles Williamson. This Old Code, English Gent. Thank you guys for all coming to the 50th episode of Axanar Confidential. And so I was able to Shanghai James Liu to show up. You guys haven't seen a lot of.
That's a good word.
It shows you I'm old. That's what it shows you. Because millennials don't know what that word means. They don't know that it can actually be a verb as well as a proper noun. But James Liu came to me through our good friend Mark Grove, who is a filmmaker in Colorado. Just one of the nicest guys I know. Because usually I'm the guy that's like going out and meeting people and saying hi and introducing myself. And Mark was at Denver Comic Con. Mark came right over to my table and just introduced himself and just made him, he was just the nicest guy and really engaging and genuine and enthusiastic. And I just loved him. And that's when he introduced me to Martin Cove, and who was fantastic. And then anyway, as we were talking, as I've told you, and it's ironic because I probably knew you as an actor, even though I didn't know you. I knew who you were way back when you were in the best of the best with James Earl Jones, Eric Roberts. I mean, that was just Sally Kirkland, Philip Rhee.
Yes.
Right?
Sean Penn.
I'm sorry?
Sean Penn.
Sean Penn.
Not Sean.
No, Chris Penn.
No.
Chris Penn, his brother. Chris Penn, his brother, right? Yeah. It was, and anyway, I loved that movie when it came out. I loved it. And it was just last year that I found out you were in it, and I forget your character's name, but I was like, oh crap, that was James Liu. I'm like, when you had hair. and so Mark, getting back to Mark Grove, Mark and I, let's see, that was 2016. So it was, almost 4 years ago, for the 3.5 years ago that I was there. And at the time, I had told, we were getting to know each other, and I told him, I said, oh yeah, and I've got this great part. And, I said, I literally wrote the part of Tanaka with Cary Hiroyuki Tagawa in mind. That was, I just loved him because when he was in Rising Sun, I was just like blown away. And then you've seen him in other things, and Mortal Kombat, or he was just brilliant in Man in the High Castle. He was just brilliant. It was probably his best acting I've seen. Anyway, so Mark was like, oh, I know Cary. So we tried to get in touch with him. That didn't work out. And Mark's like, oh, Alec, you need to use my friend James. And I go, James? He goes, James Liu. He goes, check him out. And I think the first shot I saw of you, I'll have to pull it up, was you holding your Emmy Award.
Yeah.
Which was, so tell us about how you won an Emmy Award. Working for Marvel on Luke Cage, was it?
Yes, the Marvel Netflix series, Luke Cage. Which is also great. It's a show not particularly about martial arts, not an Asian in sight, and I get called and asked to do that, and it was fascinating because I haven't really done a series since The Crow, many years ago. So TV's a different animal, episode after episode, week after week, and you're location scouting as you're shooting one episode, you're prepping the next episode. But we went through some snow and hard weather in New York, but can't beat the locations there.
Right?
Yeah, and Mike Coulter is absolutely a gem to work with. So, but also we were talking about Cary Tagawa. I was actually doing a bunch of his stunt doubling him.
Oh, you remember
yeah.
Crystal?
Hi,
James, Crystal,
Hi,
Crystal,
James.
Everyone, this Crystal's got to leave. She's working tonight, but thank you. We're glad she got to make an appearance on Axanar Confidential number 50 there. So everyone says hi there. So anyway, you all set?
I'm all set. You want me to say goodbye? Thank you so much for joining us tonight, James. Thank you so much.
Good to see you. Hope to see you in L.A.
Oh,
Yes.
You'll definitely see her in L.A.
Yes,
Okay.
I'll be there. Thank you. Good
Bye.
night, everybody.
Anyway, I'm sorry. You were stunt doubling Cary?
Yes, from Showdown Little Tokyo to there's a TV series we did together. There was one we did the pilot for Raven that Cary was acting in, and I was playing another character in it also across from Cary, and so we worked a lot. He's such a super talented person, and really is what you see on screen. He's just badass.
That's great. Was it Revenge? Was that the TV show?
No, there was Space Rangers.
Oh, okay. I don't even know that one.
Okay, it was sci-fi. I played an alien on that one too.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
God. So, listen. Let's go back to the beginning. Tell us how. Tell us where you're from, how you got into martial arts, how you got into film. Just tell everyone a little bit about yourself.
I am a native Los Angeles It's not too many of that out
Wow,
here
that's
anymore.
yeah.
People move here and people move out. People don't
You don't
aren't
find many native Angelinos.
no, no. And I love LA. So growing up, of course, martial arts was a natural thing. Me and my buddies were getting into in junior high, so we had fun doing that without knowing where that was going to lead. One day, when they had the original Kung Fu series with David Carradine,
Oh yeah.
they had auditions for all the disciples back
Oh,
at the Shaolin Temple.
oh wow.
So me and my buddy said, "Hey, let's just go down." And we had no idea it was a cattle call. It was a line around the block at Warner Brothers, and we said, "Man, what are we doing here?" And we just said, "Okay, we're already here," and we got picked and got to be in the Shaolin Temple, even
Now,
though it was in Burbank.
how many episodes were you in?
We did all the flashbacks in the temple scenes.
So
So
it was a
kind of like,
recurring gig?
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So it was pretty cool, and that was kind of what got the bug. So this is especially at that age, we made some pretty decent money, and we thought we can make this kind of money and just play. This is not a bad way to go. So just kept pursuing that, and I guess we came across this buddy of mine who was wanting to do a kung fu movie in Taiwan. So he asked me to star in it. So it was a full-on chopsaki movie. Dialogue was in Chinese. I don't speak Chinese, so I would do my English. The other actors do it in Chinese, and they dub me later. And I'm looking at myself. Oh, I speak Chinese. But from that, it's just how life goes from one to another. I had a bunch of footage of me because I was playing the lead in that Chopsaki movie, so I had so many fights to do. So I had footage of all that, and at that time, John Carpenter was looking to do Big Trouble in Little China, and I got my stuff together, sent it in over to 20th Century Fox. He looked at it. I got a call to come in meet, and showed him all my things. We hit it off, and I got hired my first studio movie as the fight coordinator.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a huge jump for me, and that just completely did it. I said, "This is my life."
Wow. Yeah, and I'm looking at your IMDb. I just posted it for everyone to go check you out, and I hope everyone will go to IMDb. I just put the link in there. Check out James's resume, and I mean, I'm looking and it's so funny. There you are, Kung Fu. That's your first acting gig as a monk. You're uncredited, but you're credited as a monk. And then real quickly you got into things, but I'm seeing a lot of Asian thug in there. The A Team, you were on the A Team. You were on.
Oh, I got killed several times as different. We all look alike. It actually turned out to be good. Many times.
Yeah. Your listings for the A Team are Byron Chin Men, Kuwait Thug, a thug, Chow's henchman, Wan Chu Tong member. And so yeah, there's like 6 different roles right there that in one TV series. So that's awesome. And then scrolling up through the things you did, and then there you are in 1989 was Best of the Best, and that was certainly. I think that would you say the 80s were when martial arts movies really took off?
It was right then. It was pretty much at the prime. And it started with the Kung Fu series.
Yes.
It really put Kung Fu on the map. And, way back, my first discipline is more in the Kung Fu system. Then we noticed we had a school with my buddy, and suddenly there were Kung Fu / karate schools that used to be just karate. But everybody, it's business.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that really hit really well. But then, of course, Bruce Lee was the thing that just blew up the martial arts and cinema.
Now, and I think you and I have talked about it, but there was a recent movie about Bruce Lee and the Shaolin monk who came over who wound up fighting Bruce Lee in this battle. I don't know if you saw that movie. I'm trying to think of what the name of it was.
I think it was shot in Canada. Was that? I didn't
Could
get to see
be.
that.
Yes. Was it Hidden Dragon? What was the?
Something Dragon.
It was something. And anyway, did you see that movie?
No, I didn't get to see that.
It's fantastic.
Okay.
It really is fantastic because it really tells the story, from a different perspective, and and it was anyway. You got to see it. Was that? Birth of the Dragon. Here it is.
Okay.
Birth of the Dragon. I'm looking at that now. And I think that.
But I got to work on Dragon, which is the Bruce Lee story with Jason Scott.
Oh yeah.
I was training Jason for all the kicks and stuff. I was scheduled to double him, so I had to get on a lean out diet. Ooh, it was really tough because he was
ripped
thin. So I was getting down there, but midway through, I got an offer to do this movie called American Ninja 5.
Oh gosh.
I know, but it was to play the lead villain.
Oh.
And I said, ooh, that's going to be fun, and go to Venezuela. So I told her, I'm going to go do this. And they're still in prep. I said, I'll be back to do everything. Somehow the producer got upset, like, if you're leaving, then don't come back. And I said, all right, see ya.
Well, I'm sure, yeah. Well, judging by your IMDb, you didn't have a problem working.
I've been very blessed, very blessed. So. But now, God, Star Trek.
Yes. So, how did you meet Mark Grove?
Through the martial arts, and he was writing a script. He wanted me to be in it, so he found me when he came out for LA for the film market. The one in Santa Monica.
Yeah, is that AFA or
AFM?
FM?
American Film Market. Yes.
Yeah, AFM. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we met and we hit it off and just became like instant, brothers.
He's so easy to get along with.
Yeah, and so creative. He can do anything in production.
Yes, he can. Yes, he can.
Yes.
He's great. So, let me ask you this: are you a Star Trek fan?
Somewhat. I appreciate it. I guess I didn't really get into it as much, but now I'm much more fascinated with it. I did get to train. What's the Picard?
Oh, really? Patrick Stewart. Patrick Stewart.
I always blame too many falls in my head. That's why. It was for a little film, and they needed somebody to train them with the katana, the Japanese sword. So I was going to him and training him for a while.
And when was this?
Nicest man.
Oh, yeah.
Absolute professional. What Hollywood should take lessons from this guy.
Oh, right. That's why everyone loves him.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, very cool. So what do you? So I got it. Because some people followed our film shoot back in October when you came out. Tell it. Give the people who are watching now. We're up to 46 viewers. Hello, everyone. And I will remind everyone, please make sure you give us a thumbs up. We've got 33 likes but 45 viewers, so 12 of you are slackers basically. So anyway, please make sure you give us everyone gives a thumbs up. So James, I mean, tell me what it was like for you as an actor to come to our humble little studio and be on a Star Trek set.
Well, of course, I had no idea what to expect because we really haven't met in person. When I stepped foot in the soundstage, I thought I was on just the real deal in LA on a soundstage for Star Trek. The bridge it's absolutely just like the real deal. I got to work on a few. It's the one that 7 of 9.
Yeah, Voyager.
I got to work on that. I saw the sets on that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, here's this cool thing. It was for an episode. They brought me in to do the fight coordinating. They're doing it in space, kind of like a UFC fight.
Oh, yeah. I remember that episode.
And this guy named The Rock.
Yeah.
So in production, they said, yeah, we're going to get this guy. He was huge wrestling champion back then.
Oh, yeah. Back then,
he was... producer like, yeah, sure, he's going to come be one of the fighters. And I couldn't believe it. We're doing training, and we're at the stage, and we see driving up in this limo, and this giant man gets out, and he keeps getting up. I said, oh my God, he's giant. And he comes in, and he's just the most mellow, easygoing, nice person. And we had a great time putting together this fight. And it was like, I thought back then I was sitting with him in a break, and I said, hey, Rock, you're really good. You should think about doing movies. And that time he said, yeah, you know what? I think I want to give it a try.
Oh my gosh.
But also I got to work with him on, I did the fight stuff for Get Smart. And, it was from then to there that we met again. And I reminded him, I said, hey, remember I told you should be in movies? So we just laughed.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome.
So the set, it's the most professional set, the most enthusiastic. Everybody that is on or involved, from the crew to the talent, production, they are working their butt off as they are working on, the real series, full on a huge budget series. There was no difference in that. Very professional.
No, well, we're glad you liked it. Well, it was.
Yes.
Listen, it was fun. It was fun hanging out with you, and for everyone who's out there, that would just pass 50 viewers, which is nice. Well, everyone's out there. So James plays Kenji Tanaka, who is the Japanese first officer and best friend to Captain Garth. And this is a character that I wrote years and years ago. When I first was writing a script. Now, I first started writing the script in 2010. So, 10 years ago, at least, I started writing it. And having been in the martial arts myself, not to the extent of James, but I took judo when I was younger. that was really big for me. Always loved, samurai movies and Bushido, and all of that was always really important. So for me, it was a natural to write a character like Tanaka, because I thought it was the perfect. I thought we could write a character that could really be complementary to Garth, not his subordinate being his first officer, but someone who was his equal and his mentor in certain things, right? And I thought that was really important. And so it was really cool to finally, I write it. I wrote Axanar and I developed these characters and all. So then to have actors come in and breathe life, to use a overused metaphor, into these characters, I've been fortunate in that every single character I've written, the actor who has played that character has exceeded all expectations for me. Like, when I came up with Admiral Ramirez, I never thought he'd have the stature of Tony Todd, or when I wrote J.G. Hertzler, I mean, he made Travis exactly what we thought. I can't say it's what we thought he would be, but the best case of what it is. So I think every actor has done that, and you certainly did that with Tanaka, and this is why. And folks, you're hearing it here first. James and I are talking about doing other things, other scenes that aren't even in the script. And we've talked about this one project I'm not going to tell you about, but I'm really excited about. And I will talk to James offline about it. But Mark Grove and I talked about it the other day. But because I've asked Mark to come and shoot it and be the director, and you and I are going to talk about the other parts of it. But anyway, so I'm so excited, James, because you really, in the work you've done so far, and certainly it was just a little work with you on the bridge, but even me being in the captain's chair and looking back there, I really feel like it's just natural. It's just like, wow, that's exactly what I would think. The gravitas you bring to the role, the dignity, because listen, when you and I did scenes, we didn't have any words to exchange.
They just call that simply, we had this chemistry, we had this bond. It felt natural as working together on the bridge. Yeah, so thank you. I'm looking forward to, maybe we'll go kick some butt, some intergalactic.
Yeah, exactly. I can't wait to work with you again. It's going to be awesome. So, well, listen, I don't want to keep you here all night. I want to thank you so much for coming out and sharing with the fans. I mean, we're going to have you back to talk about it some more in another episode, but I've got 3 other guests I've got to get on in the next hour and 20 minutes. So I'm gonna say, and by the way, everyone, James now lives real close to where I used to live in LA, and so I'm all jealous that you get to go to Aroma Cafe and hang out.
Yes. I'll have a coffee for you.
Do you go to Harvest? Oh, you probably live near Harvest Moon Cafe.
I don't know that.
You do.
Harvest?
I'm pretty sure you live closer. Look it up. Harvest Moon, the best brunch in the valley. We used to go to that place all the time.
Okay.
Harvest Moon Cafe. So check it out. I forget what cross street. It's on one of the big east-west streets. But yeah, it's a great cafe. So definitely check it out. They have amazing biscuits.
I will be there.
Yeah. So all right, James. Thank you so much for your time, man. It's been great as always. I'll teach you. Yeah. It's great having you here, and we'll be talking to you again soon.
Okay. Thank you.
Take care.
Okay. Bye.
All right, everyone. That is one of my favorite people that I've gotten to work with here so far. That is. James is just an absolute gentleman. He is so much fun to work with. And we when he was here for the shoot, literally it was like, James, we need to do more together, right? It's like he said, there was this chemistry. There's like I'm feeling, when I'm in the role of Garth, he just makes it so much more real. His presence, he's got this great, and he got the character right, and he knows what the relationship is, and it just worked brilliantly. So I'm really excited. I'm really excited. About James and about working more with James, and it's just fantastic. So I hope you guys will stay tuned. Let's see. Let me check on who else we got. Let's see if JP is around. I'm going to pull up JP. There. Let's see if he is. Oh, there's our messages. Here's my computer. All right, JP's ready to roll. Let's get JP in here. And this is let me try Rob Pralgo. Let me see if that's Rob Pralgo. Let me find. Let's see. This is Rob Pralgo. Sadly, his father is in the hospital. Let's see. It says Rob isn't online. So let's try and get Rob. Let's try and get Rob online. Let's see what happens here. We're going to try and get Rob on the line. He had to go out to LA because his father's in the hospital. So it's been a little crazy. Plus, we may not be able to get him. Let's see. We'll see. In the meantime, let's see if we're about getting JP. Hello there. Why do I get this? There we are. There's the inimitable. All right, I'm gonna let me switch sources here. Oh, that didn't work. There we are. There he is. The man, the beard, the legend.
The legendary beard.
Yes, you are. And let me change your name because you are definitely not James Liu. You are definitely not a bald Asian man.
I wouldn't mind being James Liu.
I know. He's just so freaking cool.
Yeah, he really is. He was one of my highlights. Watching him film his scenes on the bridge was one of the highlights of my trip back in October.
Yeah, he's so
That's
freaking good.
Yeah, that's when I felt like I was really like watching Star Trek happen before my eyes. So I just kind of forgot what I was doing. And I just watched it happen.
And it was good stuff, man, wasn't it? It was good stuff. I just I can't say enough good things about everyone who worked on that shoot and how good it was. You guys did a great job with all the broadcast, live casting and live streaming and behind the scenes stuff. I mean,
we eventually figured it out. It took a while to get it figured out, but we eventually did.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, no, you guys did yeoman's work. It was really wonderful. So how are you doing lately, dude? Wearing your nifty Orville hat there?
Yeah, I got my season 2 Orville production hat. It says Fox on the back, but of course that won't be the case for season 3. When those hats come out, they'll probably say Hulu on the back.
Now, is it still being shot at Fox Studios?
Yeah, it's still under the Fox umbrella as far as getting the show shot and production. It's still part of the Fox family, just as Hulu is part of the Fox family. They're still their main shooting is on lot 15 or stage 15, and of course they also film on 16 for secondary stuff. Some of the ship is also on 16, but they've expanded to also lot 11 and lot 17 because season 3 of the Orville is gigantic. It's huge. It's the biggest they've ever done. They've doubled production on it.
Wow. Well, by the way, thank you to Paul for his $4.99 super chat. He says, JP, Lieutenant Dan Guy is effing awesome.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, Lieutenant Dan Guy. That's my latest Orville parody song that I came out with a week or two ago, based on the Billie Eilish song "Bad Guy."
Oh, okay, all right. Well, so tell us what is. First of all, tell everyone about your channel. I just want to make sure everyone knows who you are and what you do. Obviously, I like you because you're just one swell guy. But you are also the man when it comes to Orville on YouTube. Tell us a little bit about your channel.
Well, I'm JP with Egotastic Fun Time, which started off as just talk about stuff, start conversations in video form. After a couple years, it became Talking the Orville. I am the main Orville commentator, head of the fandom, I guess. I don't feel that way. I feel like I'm just part of the fandom. But a lot of people look to me for Orville news, Orville commentary, fun Orville sketches, and song parodies, things like that. But I also, of course, do videos weekly on other science fiction type shows and movies. But it's very much been taken over by Star Trek, with Star Trek being, currently on television right now with Star Trek Picard. So a lot of my content right now is mostly Star Trek Picard and Avenue 5.
Oh,
related.
yeah.
Avenue 5.
I've not seen it yet.
It's fun. I don't even consider it a sci-fi show as much as I do a comedy.
Right.
The fact that it takes place in the near future on a spaceship is kind of secondary to the story and the comedy and the social commentary and the fun that they're having.
Right. Okay, let me just move my whole unit here a little closer. Well, yeah. I have not checked that out, but I will. Amongst all the other things I've got to check out. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there's no hurry on it. They have 4 episodes left. It's a 9-episode initial season, and some people love it. Some people it's not their cup of tea, Earl Grey hot. I'm absolutely loving it because it's just a fun time, and it's fun to see a different type of show with Avenue 5 where it takes place on a spaceship, but it's very much like a Lord of the Flies mixed with the Love Boat type experience from the creator of Veep.
Oh, who's that? Who's the?
I can't remember his first name. I think his last name's Iannucci, I think.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, the guy who writes and show runs and created Veep, he's a British comedy writer.
Very cool. Oh, wow. Okay, very cool, very cool. What can we... So, all right, let's just... let's jump right into Picard.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, by the way, your channel. Make sure you type into. Let's see. I will. Let me go grab your URL for your channel, and put it in because I think Trey McElwain is he is MIA tonight. I told him to show up late, because I'm going to have him on as well. But so let me grab your URL for Egotastic Fun Time, which is one of the one of the channels I used to watch when I was driving for 5 hours back and forth to Charleston last year.
We did all the Discovery reviews. Actually, I stopped reviewing Discovery just because it was just a bummer. I like to have a fun time, but I'm reviewing Picard right now, and I'm having a great time with it because the Picard series has won me over, whereas Discovery, that was a lost cause. Though I am looking forward to see what they do with season 3 of Discovery.
What was this image I saw of Discovery? Was that a fan-produced image, or was that the one today with the flag and the? Did you see this image on Facebook?
Oh, I think I've heard about it. I haven't paid attention to the next season of Discovery at all, hardly, because I'm so focused on Picard right now. But I think there was like a flag of the Federation, like I haven't seen it in tatters or something like that. I don't know if that's fan made, but it would be appropriate to the storyline that's coming up in season 3. I think in Discovery for their 3rd season they jumped 900 years in the future.
Right.
I think the moment they jumped into the time changed. The timeline changed. So what they're jumping into is an alternate timeline where the Federation at some point falls. And it's their job in this new timeline that they're in to bring hope to the people of 900 years in the future. And I think it's probably going to involve the temporal Cold War. I think there's, if you watch the trailers for it, you can see this team of different races, alien races, a couple humans, a couple Andorians, holding these weird, kind of ridiculous, in my opinion, lantern guns, which seems very inefficient to me. But I'm guessing those are part of the temporal Cold War soldiers or something like that.
Huh. All right. Interesting. Yeah, listen, here's what I think's happening. I think Picard's doing real well. Just the big picture meta of it all is Picard's doing well. It's got a lot of people interested.
Mm-hmm. It's getting a lot of subscribers to CBS All Access.
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
During its duration. Well, I have no doubt that it is, but it's only 5 more episodes left. I would think the subscribers are going to drop off considerably. I'm really enjoying Picard, but I plan on unsubscribing from All Access the moment the end credits roll on the season finale.
Right. Yeah, I know it's Picard's. I've seen the first 3 episodes. I got 4 queued up, which I got to watch with Crystal. So we'll watch it this weekend, and then we'll watch 5 this weekend as well.
4 is when the adventure begins. The first 3 episodes are actually, in total, a pilot.
Yeah, right, exactly. And do you listen to the official Picard podcast?
I don't listen to anything.
The Picard podcast is great. It's where I think it's way better than the Ready Room after show. Way better.
Well, the Ready Room after show, while I've seen a couple episodes, it's enjoyable. It's more of the produced by the studio type of scenario. They cut in bits, a little sound bites of interviews and a couple clips. It's a puff piece, which is fine. But yeah, they're not going to get into the nitty gritty like a podcast would.
Right. The podcast is great. It's by 2 guys from Deadline Hollywood. Jeff Shea, one of the guys I actually know, and he's really sharp. And it's done well, and they got all the, they got the people on. They got Kurtz, they got everyone on, right? To talk about the show. Now the Ready Room does a good job too. I'm not a fan of Will Wheaton as the host because I just think he's just kind of too cutesy, and it's all freaking scripted, and it's bad jokes.
Definitely scripted.
It's awful. And if once more, CBS not learning their lesson. Like, you want to do that show, you look and see what Chris Hardwick's doing on Talking Dead. That's the pinnacle. That is the pinnacle of those shows.
Yeah, that really is.
Right?
Yeah.
And so CBS's job was to go out and find their Chris Hardwick. And it's not Will Wheaton.
Yeah.
Right? And there's lots of people that could have filled that role. And anyway, and then they decide, well, we're going to script it. And it's like, no, dude, that's not what's good about Talking Dead.
It's not scripted. I mean, they got the things that they plan on talking about,
right.
And they got the little moments that are scripted,
outline,
like
and
the
they got
stuff. Yeah. But they're having legit conversations. I'm okay. I love Will Wheaton, even though I hate Wesley Crusher. I love Will Wheaton because he is a legit nerd. But also, like I said, it's a puff piece. The Ready Room feels like the Talking Dead feels like a show. It's a show that comes on after the show, but it feels like a real show.
Right.
The Ready Room feels like a quick YouTube video.
God, it feels like a infomercial to me.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I could see. I could see that as well.
And it's like I don't want to be so. But I will say that the video interviews that they do, like when they had Kurtzman on or Akiva Goldsman or whatever, are really good. Those are
because that's the real
top-notch.
conversation. That's real conversation.
Yeah, so cut those out and just show me those. I mean, those should be YouTube clips, right? All the Will Wheaton stuff I find annoying. That's why I think the podcast. So I think the Picard podcast is good. Anyway, so
well, real quick, with your comments on Will Wheaton, you sound like Picard in season 1 of TNG.
Shut up, Wesley.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I and it's funny because I met Will Wheaton. I acted with him in a stage play when I was in LA, and at the time we had a Star Trek auction and actually had his multicolored turtleneck sweater for sale, and I showed it to him, the catalog and everything, and I said, and then he came out and bashed Axanar when the lawsuit happened, and I was like,
that's too bad,
dude, that's a dick move. From the guy who's saying his number one rule in life is don't be a dick, that was a dick move. And I knew his agent, and I wrote his agent, and I said, dude, and I wrote a letter, and I said, can you pass this on to Will? And it was a very nice letter. It was like, look, Will, I acted with you. We met, we talked. You don't know everything that's going on, and you have some misinformation. And I, because he was saying we were trying to profit off of it, and, it was the typical, I've got this much information and I'm going to extrapolate all this shit and bash someone.
And you just described the internet.
Yeah. I was like, you're acting like you're some troll on the internet. But anyway, I was very nice and wrote him a very nice letter and never heard anything back. So when I see him at a convention, I'm going to, go up to him very nicely and say, Will, my name's Alec Peters. We acted together. I'm the guy who did Axanar. I just want you to know some things that you clearly don't know. And I'm going to be very nice about it, but the point is, I think he...
And then try to hire him for a role on Axanar. Let's see what happens.
I don't know what that would be. But anyway, yeah, so all right, listen, let's talk the first 3 episodes, since, as you pointed out, they consider the first 3 episodes the pilot. It is those first 3 episodes are all set up to get us to that last line in episode 3, where Picard looks at the screen and goes,
engage.
Right?
And that's when the adventure part of it starts.
That's the payoff right there. You get to see Picard say engage. So let's talk about the first 3 episodes here of...
it's all the backstory of Picard. We're getting caught up with Picard in those 3 episodes. One thing I like about the show that helped me get into it was the fact that I knew they weren't trying to make a Star Trek show. They were trying to tell a story about a man that lives in the Star Trek universe. Whereas Discovery, on the other hand, it was touted as being, we're doing a Star Trek show, a ship and a crew going out on adventures. And then we saw it. We're like, first off, that doesn't look or feel right for those type of adventures. Picard, on the other hand, is not a TNG show. It's a character study about Picard 20 years later, a man that we don't know. I don't know anybody that I haven't seen in 20 years as a person I do not know, no matter how well I knew them 20 years ago. So it's a person we don't know, and we're getting caught up with them. We're seeing what drives them, what regrets they have for the last 20 years, putting back the pieces. Things fell apart. And I did like how the show usually starts off with a flashback every single episode. I won't spoil anything for the next 2 episodes, but they all start with pretty interesting flashbacks.
Yeah. Well, I think those are good points. You and I have talked about it. I've talked about it with my fans here ad nauseum about what I think about Discovery, and I think, I guess they could have. I'm surprised they didn't start off with Picard rather than Discovery.
Yeah. Or even if start off with season 3 of Discovery, where it's in a part of the timeline that you can do anything you want with it.
Exactly.
Because the first 2 seasons of Discovery are a violation to something that we know how it is and what it is.
Exactly.
Picard is a whole new thing, a whole new track down the road. You can kind of do what you want because these characters, people say, oh, Picard wouldn't do that. I'm like, yeah, the Picard you knew 20 years ago might not do this or that, or Seven might not do this or that.
Right.
Though a lot of people, I tell people, I'm like, you knew 7 of 9 for 4 years. And that was 20 years ago. Did you go to high school with someone, your best friend in high school, and then you haven't seen them since you graduated? You run into them 20 years later, and you know exactly who they are and what they would do in a situation and what they've gone through? Absolutely not. So, a lot of people forget that. They think we're starting off the next day after the last time we saw Seven or Picard or whatever. I'm like, no, that's not how the world works, and that's not how reality works. That's not how your life works. So we're getting a little bit more realism when it comes to that.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I again, you and I agree here. I mean, Discovery should never try to retcon an era we didn't need to see.
Yeah, that's what they did. They retconned it, and
right.
I'm wondering because in the very first episode of Picard, we learned that Worf is normal. Worf is Worf. The Klingons look normal,
right?
And they do need to explain that, though. I'm glad. I'll be fine with no explanation as long as the Klingons always look normal because it's worth not knowing. But they do need to figure out an explanation. Why do Klingons look normal? I would accept 2 explanations. One, sorry, we messed up. Just send out a memo on the internet. Sorry, we messed up in Discovery with the Klingons. We're fixing them. We don't need to explain it. Just we're sorry. I'd accept that. The second explanation has to be something clever, like as soon as Discovery left the timeline, it somehow fixed the timeline for everything else. Something.
Listen, I'm okay with flatheads and crab heads and Discovery heads all existing in the same universe. Heads. Right? It's the because you can make those arguments about why there are flat and listen, Enterprise basically gave us the explanation for why there are flatheads in the Klingon Empire, right? We know from Affliction and Divergence, we know millions of Klingons were affected. I'm okay with that. Here's something, and now Picard is clearly in this Discovery timeline. So my case is going to be that the original timeline that stretched from the Cage, the very first TOS pilot, through the Nemesis, that timeline, call it the original timeline. Okay, none of this stuff happens in that timeline.
I don't think it does.
No.
I call it the canon timeline.
Yeah, there you go.
And I don't even necessarily include the TNG movies in that timeline. Because those characters in the TNG movies, they're not the characters from the show. The characters from the show wouldn't have made a lot of those choices. I almost feel maybe we're in the movie universe.
Yeah.
The movie timeline right now. But go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just going to say that when Picard goes into Starfleet headquarters, which is not the Starfleet headquarters we know. The Starfleet headquarters we know is the Tillman Japanese Gardens, Tillman Water Reclamation Plant building in Van Nuys in California. That was the one used in TNG. That was the one used in Deep Space Nine. It was used in Voyager. That's Starfleet headquarters. The Orange County Convention Center that they used in Picard, that's a totally different building. Mm-hmm. Now, maybe you can argue that it's part of the same complex. Okay. All right. I'm okay.
Well, you can say it's 20 years later they added on a new building.
I'll give you that one. However, when Picard walks into Starfleet headquarters and he looks up to those holograms of the Enterprise, that Enterprise he sees, the original Enterprise that he sees is the Discovery Enterprise. Mm-hmm. which tells me right then and there you are not in the original timeline. Because we know what the TOS Enterprise looked like in the original timeline. It looked like the TOS Enterprise. It was not the Kurtzman Enterprise. It was not the Pike Enterprise.
Yeah, well, I see people were complaining about that. At first, I was like, well, it makes sense to me that they would be showing the Enterprises in chronological order on a display. So that was probably the Enterprise C. But even if it is the regular the Enterprise, it would totally be the Enterprise from Discovery, because this is the CBS Star Trek. So people are like, you see? I'm like, I see what? That this is Star Trek by CBS? That's what we'd expect. We got lucky that they decided to show us a 100% legitimate 1701-D. So I understood why they had the other Enterprise. But here's the thing. I don't think CBS believes that this Star Trek franchise they're putting out is a different timeline. Even though they don't believe that, they should just save themselves a headache and just say this is a different timeline. Remember the episode of TNG Parallels in season 7 where Worf is going through all those different changes in the timeline, and then at the end of the episode we have all these different Enterprises all in the same area, in the same space, and they're all having different things going on, similar but slightly different. Just say, hey, that third Enterprise from the left that you see there, that's the timeline that we're living in right now. That's all they have to do. It costs them nothing to say that, and it gains them everything as far as audience reception goes. It's only going to improve reception. It's not going to maybe win people over. If you don't like the stories, if you don't like the characters, which I didn't in Discovery for the most part, there was a couple little nice things about the series, just not enough things to win you over. People would be able to lose those arguments and actually have to watch the shows and decide for what I consider legitimate reasons not to like the series. Oh, I don't like the story. I don't like the dialogue. Stuff like that. They can throw away the preconceived types of complaints that stop them from subjectively or objectively or being objective when they watch these things.
Here's something that one of our users here, Colin Barrett, says there are two Star Trek licenses. Nothing has been made on the Alpha license since 2005. Okay.
Oh, I like Alpha license. That's a good term.
Yeah, that's a good term.
I'm going to adopt that.
This is the Midnight's Edge theory, right? Mm-hmm. This is Midnight's Edge has been pushing this theory that there's a license. Now, I will tell you, I know for a fact from talking to people at CBS that when JJ went to make those Star Trek movies, when Paramount Studios, who had the rights to make the movies, hired JJ, and they said, we're going to make these Star Trek, they had to go to CBS and license the characters.
Everything probably, yeah.
I know that for a fact because CBS talked about this with me. So we do understand that, okay? However, there was not... Everyone, Midnight Says keeps pushing this theory that there's this alternate license that Kurtzman is now working under, this alternate license. Kurtzman's not working under an alternate license. Kurtzman is working for CBS, the IP holders. That's who writes his checks. CBS, they own the rights. He's not working for Paramount. There's no alternate license. He's working for the rights holder. So this whole thing that, Kurtzman's working under the Bad Robot license, that's bullshit. And I'm just telling you from a legal perspective, that's crap. That is nonsense. That is not the way it works. CBS is the rights holder. They hired Kurtzman. They own everything. And now they truly own everything. That makes
complete sense. Yeah, they really own stuff. I kept being told, you're not going to see the 1701-D. You might have seen it, and then the trailer comes out, and we see it, and they're like, you're not going to see it in the actual episode. And there it is. 10 forward's not in the right place. Well, I did my research, and I found out, yes, it is in the right place. It's just artistically, when you zoom in at the beginning of that first episode, they only had lights on 3 windows on, so they could zoom in on Picard through the window, and it's just like an artistic thing. But you look inside that room, and you see there's like 12 to 16 windows in there, and you line it up with where they were sitting, where they were. I'm like, it's exactly where it's supposed to be. And it's people are always telling me how I'm going to feel when I watch it, what I'm going to not see or what I am going to see, and none of it has been true. So that's why I don't watch. People are saying, "Hey, did you watch this video or that video?" I'm like, if it has anything to do with the stuff that I talk about, I haven't watched it at all. I watch videos about how to use keywords and how to make thumbnails and stuff like that, because I don't watch any videos that have to do with anything I talk about, because I'm a human. I'm only so strong. I don't want to be influenced by all these things, because by the time, if you listen to all this stuff, by the time you get to the actual thing that you're supposed to judge, you're going to have all this stuff in your head. And if you prejudge something, no matter what, your brain's going to make sure you find those results that you were predispositioned to want to find, no matter what's really going on.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And as far as Midnight's Edge goes, I listened to so much of their stuff back when I was commuting last year, all the stuff about CBS and this and that.
I like their content. I just don't watch it anymore.
Yeah.
But that's just because the rule I set on myself.
Yeah, and when I was listening to it, here's what I'll say about it. They're pretty good, and people have a lot of views of that, but they're very good about saying this is what we know, this is what we're speculating, right?
Yeah,
this is rumor.
And
they're good about that, and all that stuff about licenses and stuff. For the most part, they've put that in the speculation, the rumor, whatever category.
Yeah, they do. Mm-hmm.
Right, and that's I'm fine. The thing they did that I'll give them credit for is they do the research. They know about who the shareholders are. They know it. They're not spouting bullshit like I hear from so many other YouTube, content creators. Mm-hmm. So it is prime source. They're really going right to the source to kind of get it. Yeah. So, listen, I think you and I agree. Discovery never should have been set where it was. Oh, you're stepping on Axanar's toes, by the way, you. CBS.
Well, Axanar is an unknown part of the timeline. Cage era is known. I consider it the original series era because it's the first pilot. I don't necessarily consider the Cage hardcore canon. It was just a first step to them trying to figure out what this show was going to be. It didn't even get aired. They were able to use that footage later on for the Menagerie. Awesome. There was some footage from the Cage they shouldn't have used in the Menagerie, but having to do with Spock. But hey, what you going to do? But yeah, Axanar is even before that.
Right. Yeah.
So it's not intruding on anything that's known. It's building upon something. Whereas Discovery didn't even try to get close, and that was just arrogance, really, from CBS. They thought it was just a regular Joe Schmo type franchise that they could reinvent, like doing a Lost in Space reboot or something like that. Do whatever you want with Lost in Space. It doesn't bother me. But if you're going to you can't do that with Star Trek. You just cannot do that. So you have to either make it look modern, but it's got to look and feel like the original, that timeline that you're going into. Yeah. Or how about put it in what would have been season 4 era Star Trek. That's an era we're not really familiar with.
Yeah.
Let's go from there forward. You can go back in time, but there's a huge space between. Of course, there's the movies, but I don't mind if they disregard what's going on in the movies. There's so much space. There's like 80 or 90 years between the original series and TNG. If you want to go back, let's fill in those years. Enterprise B, Enterprise C. Let's see what's going on. There's a great opportunity with Enterprise C to connect it to TNG if you want to. In that one episode.
The problem is no one wants create. Listen, and let me say this: if Brian Fuller had done Star Trek. Mm-hmm. I bet you dollars to donuts, you would have had the same problem.
I agree, because here's the thing: if they, people say, oh, this isn't Star Trek, but I know for a fact, because I pay attention to the internet too closely and what people are saying, that if they put out a Star Trek that was exactly what you want Star Trek to be, it looked right, it was perfect, the same, just as many people would complain about that.
And not only that, it wouldn't do well. It's a product of its time, right?
Yeah.
And you could get away with that look and feel, years ago, but you're not. And the challenge is that Star Trek is always a vision of the future from the point in time in which we shoot it, which it is being shot. Right? Back in the 60s, 54 years ago, that's what we thought the future would look like. Right? Mm-hmm. And then in the 80s, we thought it would look like Next Generation. Right?
Yeah.
And then you had JJ's movies, that's what we thought the future would look like. And now you have Kurtzman, and that's what the future... The problem is, Star Trek is not our future. It is not our future.
The Expanse is
a future. It is a future.
Yeah, it is a future.
It is a future in which the eugenics wars happen in the 1990s. Yeah. It is a future in which World War III is about to happen. Right? Yeah. You know, that is what Star Trek is. It is not our timeline. And so while we're trying to extract, so that, you know, and so obviously Star Trek just happens in a future, in a different future. But anyway, I heard a couple things that Brian Fuller had said about, or people had said about what Brian Fuller was planning. Know that I love Brian Fuller. He's an Axanar fan. He paid me some nice compliments. I love the guy. He's awesome. And he's a genius. I mean, Hannibal was amazing, and American Gods, and he's great. But I think people would have been shocked to find out what he was planning. He would have reinvented the Klingons himself. Yeah. He didn't want to go back to the well. No one has any interest in going back and mining the well of Star Trek, the Alpha timeline, right? No one has any interest in doing that. If you're a filmmaker, you know, we do it because we're like geeks. We're Star Trek fans, right? Yeah. I'm not trying to make Star Trek that's going to appeal to, you know, tens of millions of people. I'm making Star Trek for Star Trek fans, like myself, basically, right? Mm-hmm. And as I always say, when you talk about production design, we were able to take production design and move it in a direction that it looked like, well, that looks like Star Trek should look like at that period of time, right? We were able to do that. But look, as great as, you know, James Blue was saying how great our sets were, as great as our set is not TV streaming quality. You couldn't take our set and film it to be on Hulu or Netflix in a current... It's Star Trek?
Yeah, it's not made to look current. It's made to look classic, which isn't something... It's not... Yeah, and I agree. It's not something you would want to make, which is why CBS made just a huge mistake thinking that they could take this timeline and recreate it in this new image, which would have been appropriate if they just picked any of the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years they could have picked from, that would have been okay. That they wouldn't have to, they could have invented it to be whatever they wanted to be, because people have no reference to that. But then they started incorporating storylines of characters that we're familiar with, that we know their history of. It's well documented, and they're rewriting stuff. And they did that so they could bring in some of these names. At first, they're like, oh, we're not going to bring in the names of these characters. And then all of a sudden, we're not going to bring in the Enterprise. We're not going to bring in all this stuff. People were complaining so much about just the bad quality of that first season. Like, okay, let's try to get these known names, which is, you know, basically the same as like, let's do a reboot, let's do a remake, let's do some name recognition, which is all reboots and remakes are, which Hollywood wouldn't do at all if we didn't buy tickets to that stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
And so they brought that in as desperation. They brought in Pike. Anson Mount did great, but I would have preferred it if we just didn't do anything with the timeline. People want a Pike show as much as I liked Pike because he was the closest thing to Star Trek in Discovery, and Anson did a great job, and I really liked watching him on screen. I don't want a Pike series because CBS blew their shot with that part of the timeline. Though, if they wanted to, I can see it being a fun idea. Fun is the key word. They didn't know what fun was with Discovery, but Picard has a lot of fun. It's a lot of jokes in Picard. If they decided to do a 6-episode pilot season, a short season of Captain Pike Enterprise in episodic form, to prove that they can actually do an episodic classic format. If they brought in Pike and did the classic format with Pike, keep all the stuff they did, the Enterprise, all that stuff, but have it be a new adventure every episode and have them be fun and thought-provoking episodes, they might be able to salvage a little bit of all the sets they built, and getting Pike, getting Anson Mount in there, and they can prove that they can do episodic for a short 6-episode season. just to give fans something. Okay, thank you for giving us a little bit of classic format instead of the serialized stuff. You won us over a little bit, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to. Here's the thing. So many people bag on Alex Kurtzman. He gets so much shit. It's like George Lucas in the prequels, right? Like there's so much. There's so much bad blood towards Alex Kurtzman, and I don't feel that way, right? He made choices, what people need to understand about the filmmaking industry is you make choices. Whatever your job is, you're a DP, you make choices about how to shoot it. You're a production designer, you make choices about how it's going to look. You're an actor, you make choices about how you're going to play a role. I mean, and the example I always give is, in Batman vs. Superman, you may not like Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor. Crystal hates him, right?
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
Okay.
I don't care that much, but I'm not a fan.
Yeah. And I didn't mind it. I was like, oh, first of all, I don't want to see another bald Lex Luthor, middle-aged white man actor play.
I'm Gene Hackman or nothing.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And it's been done, right? And then Kevin Spacey tried to redo it, and it's done.
Yeah.
So to play for Jesse Eisenberg to make this choice, I'm gonna play Luthor this way.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, I'm not sure I agree with it, but I like that he made a bold choice. This is my acting coach, Howard Fine, who's Bradley Cooper and Chris Pine's acting coach. He said, you got to make a bold choice. You can't make a milquetoast choice. You got to make a bold choice if anyone's going to remember you. That's exactly what Jesse Eisenberg did, right? And you may not like it, but man, that guy, he said, this is how I'm going to do it. And fuck you all if you don't like it. And
I was going to say, to clarify, I like the idea of what he did. I just don't like, I think another actor could have done that idea and it would have appealed more to me. It's not the idea. It's not the change of the character. It's just I'm not a big Jesse Eisenberg in that type of role type of guy. As a casting director decision.
Yeah, you can argue with the casting director. Yeah. I hear it. So I like bold choices. So that's the essence of filmmaking. Now, when it comes to Kurtzman made these choices in season 1 of Discovery, and I don't agree with a lot of them. I don't agree with anything Klingon. I don't agree with setting it back when you did, and I don't agree with you trying to tell us it's prime timeline. That's all those things just did not work for me.
Because what's the importance of telling us it's prime? And also, I don't even agree with the term prime. I think that was created for 2009 Trek. I consider it canon universe. I don't know what the importance of it having to be canon universe is to them.
Right. What? Right.
It shouldn't be important.
It shouldn't be. Listen. No one went to the Star Trek movies, the JJ movies, and said, I don't like them because it's an alternate universe. No one said that. Okay?
Yeah, some people said I can kind of like it because it's an alternate universe.
That's exactly my point. I'm like, it's an alternate universe. They can do whatever the hell they want. Is it good science fiction? Yeah, it was. At that point, I'm not beholden to it being good Star Trek, canon Star Trek, right?
Yeah, it was beholden to what they put on the screen, the story, the characters, stuff like that. 2009, I thought was fun. I did not like Into Darkness at all. I thought the script was bad. I thought what they were trying to do with it was bad. I had a fun time with Beyond. It's just a fun, very season 3-esque type of episode.
Yeah.
Because season 3 becomes, season 3 of the original series wasn't their best season. It was more of a creature of the week type thing, but they still had some great episodes in there. But the focus shift as they were trying to hold on to the audience and get views, which a lot of people also forget to remember that these are TV shows that they're trying to figure out the entire time how to keep an audience and how to bring in more of an audience. That's every TV show you've ever seen. Some episodes of Star Trek are really great morality plays with great messages and great stories. Other episodes are just a TV show trying to figure out how to get people to watch. It's a lot of back and forth. Discovery, I don't know what they were trying to figure out, because they started off with a really bad idea, really bad premise, a corrupt motivation perhaps, and they had to try to figure out how to fix it when it was too late. Though I have an idea, it's too late now, but if they did this episode in season 1 of Discovery, it would have fixed the audience's reception with one single episode. And all they had to do was borrow an idea from the episode Yesterday's Enterprise with TNG, where all of a sudden you're on the Enterprise and then the lights go out real quick and everything's changed, right? It's a battle bridge. Tasha's there. That's Yesterday's Enterprise, I believe. And then and they go through that storyline and then flashback, the flashlight at the end, and everything goes back to the way it was. All they had to do is have an episode where the camera gets close on, I guess, Michael Burnham or Lorca. The lights go out, they come back up, everything's normal. Everything looks classic original series. The Klingons look normal. Everything feels right, because it turns out they were in an alternate timeline the entire time. So now the timeline changes. No one except for maybe Stamets realizes it, and they have to try to figure out how to get back to their own timeline where everything's dark and gritty. They could have done it one episode like that and would have fixed everything as far as reception goes. I don't know if it necessarily make the stories or the scripts any better, but it would have changed reception. It's like, okay, it's a different timeline. The timeline that we know still is there somewhere in the multiverse.
Yeah, I know. I think you hit it on it. Like, why did they feel the need to say it was canon Star Trek?
I have no idea, because that doesn't sell tickets.
No, and being that JJ did it right by saying it was an alternate universe, he went out of his way, at Robert Orsi's suggestion, he went out of his way to say that in the script, to explain it to everybody. And we all went,
it was the premise.
That's cool. Why didn't Alex Kurtzman learn that lesson and do that? Now, again, I am not an Alex Kurtzman hater, all right? I have respect for any filmmaker, and certainly Kurtzman has had his share of success. And so all I'm saying is that I just disagree with his choices.
Yeah.
Okay? I disagree with his choices. That doesn't mean I don't like it. That doesn't even mean it's bad. But I think, I try and be enlightened about this. And I learned my lesson from Ron Moore. Ron Moore, back in 2003, when he was developing Battlestar Galactica, he came to Richard Hatch's Battlestar Galactica convention. And I was there. And I was in this small little room that had maybe 40 chairs, and it was standing room only, and everyone in there was ready to hate Ron Moore. And I was standing in the back and was like, with the same attitude. And I was like, okay, what do you got? And he was there, and he explained what he was doing and showed the trailer. And he said, look, I know what you guys want for Battlestar Galactica. He said, but that's not what I want. He said, and Universal didn't hire you guys. They hired me. So I'm going to tell my story. And I was like, I'm in the back going, yeah, man, go, Ron, go. It's, I was like, that is something I can get on board with. It's
but he also did some brilliant stuff with that
and what
remake
is it turns
of
out to be the
Battlestar,
greatest.
Because the regular Battlestar still exists, because it was they turned it into this cyclical thing. Things happen over and over again. So yeah, it was the original one still exists because of the weird, I don't know, the weird hippie ideas that they put in there.
Yeah, no, so I love that, and that's where I really learned. That has always been a lesson to me, that this is Alex Kurtzman's vision of Star Trek, which you don't have to like, but you have to appreciate that they chose him to put out a vision. And listen, when I listen to the Picard podcast, when I listen to, when I watch the interviews on the Ready Room with Will Wheaton, I love listening to, Akiva Goldsman or Alex Kurtzman, or they had Nigel, what's his name, the makeup artist guy. I love listening to these guys, and and it's like, if you hate Discovery, you gotta listen to these guys talk about it, right?
Yeah, because they did put a lot of thought into whatever choices they made, good or bad. They didn't just make them; they thought about it,
yes,
inside and out. and it doesn't mean that it's a choice that I would have made or whatever. But they thought about it. They came up with an idea. All they have to do to fix some problems with the show, as far as reception goes, is just get over this canon. It's part of the original timeline.
Yes.
It's not. Just say it's not. It worked very well for, like you said, for JJ Trek. Because I remember just hearing about it and seeing the trailers, and I remember getting that nerd rage feeling bubbling up. And then they said alternate timeline. I'm like, okay, do what you want then. Alternate timeline. Do what you want, because you're not messing with my shows, with my stories in that case.
Right. And that serves them. That serves the fans. It is just all around. It's a win-win.
Yeah.
So
and they could still do it. They could just go on Twitter. On their CBS Twitter account, say, "Oh, it's an alternate timeline." Which, of course, alternate timelines are part of original canon Star Trek. We were introduced to alternate timelines many times, especially in TNG. It's a thing. You could just say the connection between original timeline and what we're putting out now is the fact that different timelines were introduced in original Trek.
Right.
And we're just one of those
that
was never explored.
I want to thank that English gent, £5 sterling super chat. Thank you, sir. He says, although I disagree with you chaps about the quality of Star Trek Picard, I am really enjoying the maturity and understanding of your discussion at the moment. Well, why? Thank you, English gent.
And I always tell the fans of my show, because sometimes people don't want to disagree. And I'm like, no, if you're feeling what you feel, if you don't like it for whatever reason, that is absolutely fine, because I lost the need a long time ago for people to have to enjoy what I enjoy or hate what I hate. I just care that I feel the way that I feel about it for whatever reasons that I do, and that other people are living that same truth with their opinions, and that we're able to have a discussion about it. Because if we're discussing things and we're all in agreement, there's nothing to discuss. It's a boring conversation.
No, I agree. Yeah, and I agree with you. I think what you and I both share this is that we want YouTube. We want our discussions to be positive and objective and not negative for the sake of being negative, because that drives views and makes you money. I mean, I think that's a cynical and exploitative view that I think some of the more popular geek YouTubers, no, I'm not even going to say more popular, some of the younger, less successful geek YouTubers. I mean, listen, the channels...
Because I have no problem with hating on something as long as that's your truth. If that's legitimately how you feel, because I'm all for everybody expressing how they feel, as long as that's how they really feel, and they came to that conclusion in a healthy way, not just like being, we're all humans. We mimic our environments. If you go have a cup of coffee with someone and they're sitting back like this, all of a sudden you're sitting back like that. It's part of our programming to mimic these things. So if you surround yourself, if your environment becomes a negative environment of just buzzwords, I hate because this, I hate because that, you are going to start taking on those opinions, and they're not your own opinions anymore. You may feel that way, you may have still felt that way if you didn't have that environment, but it's kind of hard to know if you really felt that way, because of the environment affects all of us.
Yes.
That's just why I stopped watching anything, good or bad. Because I'll give negative opinions on my show all the time about stuff, including Picard. If I see a line of dialogue, I'm like, don't really like that line of dialogue, or this and that. It's not about being all positive or all negative. It's about the gray, the spectrum. Does one line of dialogue mean an entire show that I'm enjoying is trash? No. There's 1,701 very bad lines of dialogue in the 7 seasons of The Next Generation, but it's my favorite show.
Yeah, I'm with you. And what's interesting to me also is when I look at the channels on YouTube, and we're kind of getting off track a little bit, but when I look at the channels that are successful, I see them are very informational, and they're not opinion channels. They're information channels. oh, here's what's happening in the Marvel Universe. Here's what's happening in the late, that's what it is. And they've got hundreds and hundreds of thousands, if not millions of viewers. You look at Looper, you look at Screen Rant, you look at Emergency Awesome, you look at, you can name a dozen channels like that are geek channels that produce, curated content, and none of them are opinion channels. None of them are some talking head spewing his opinion. Because they're all, here's what's happening, here's what's going on. Here's 27 Easter eggs in the newest episode of Picard.
I do watch those types of videos. I try not to watch, like I said, channels that do what I do, which is give a positive or negative or a both type of opinion, because, like I said, nothing is black or white. But I do watch channels that say, oh, the 61 Easter eggs, or, these are the things that happened in the Marvel, whatever, this character is about this or this character is about that. I do watch those just because they are non-opinionated and they're just information. I kind of wish, I've been trying to make plans with Orville content to actually put out some more content like that. Like, oh, here's all the ships in the Orville, and what these ships can do, or these are the different types of aliens. A little bit less opinionated, thrown into the mix, because I'm always going to do some sort of opinion content as well. But that's what I call evergreen content, where it's always valid. It's always somebody could watch it that just got introduced to the Orville or to Star Trek, whatever. They can watch it 3 years from now, and that information is still valid and informative.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see in YouTube how if there's a ceiling on these ranters, these people who just want to, rant and be negative and do 100 YouTube videos blasting Brie Larson, Yeah.
I don't know. It depends on the viewers. It depends on the audience, because, like I said, like with Hollywood doing reboots and remakes, almost nothing but because of name recognition. They only do that because we buy tickets to it. If we stopped buying tickets, they would start putting out more original content. So it's really up to the viewers, and I think there's always going to be a market. I mean, not even with YouTube videos. You go on social media, whoever's saying some outlandish thing or something that triggers people, that's what's going to be getting the hits and the clicks. And that's just because as humans, that's what we're programmed to respond to.
Yeah.
I blame humanity. Humanity would be a lot cooler if it had less humans in it. If there wasn't for all the humans, humanity would be more humane.
Yeah, probably. I'm not necessarily a big fan of humanity. That's why I do dog rescue.
I love the idea of it.
Yeah.
But the application of it has much to be wanted, It's very wanting.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Okay, so let's just get back to Picard for a second. All my issues with Picard so far are like nitpicking. I really.
Yeah, me too.
I really just I love how different it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I like how this particular show is different for me in a very good way.
Yes.
I don't know if it would have quite worked it was just some random characters they just came up with. If it wasn't headed by Patrick Stewart, if Patrick Stewart, his reputation and being not only as an actor but Captain Picard, come on, that reputation I think required CBS to reach a higher level, to dig deeper, to live up to that. I don't think they would have done that if they just got some regular okay television actor to come on and play some sort of character. I don't know if they would have dug as deep. So I think I'm loving Picard right now. I think they really dug in deep to come up with a great story that's so far it's very interesting. But I don't know if that's going to carry over to any other CBS Star Trek show.
Yeah, right. I mean, if they make Picard and then they go back and make another Discovery, Section 31 isn't.
I'm not looking forward to any Section 31 content.
No, neither am I. Again, rewriting,
Yeah,
it's
but that's also me prejudging. I don't know. Maybe I'm not excited by the idea, but if they turn in something that's like, oh wow, that's a surprise, and I'm always ready for that. But currently I'm not excited. I don't see anything in my. I can't come up with any ideas in my brain of what type of story I would like from that. Whereas everything they were feeding us about Picard, my brain was coming up with these scenarios. I'm like, oh, if they do this route, that would be cool. With all this information that I know, that would be cool. That'd be cool. I didn't just assume it was going to be one thing or another. And so far, they're going along and actually surprising me with certain stuff as well. Also, I like the show has a lot of levity to it, which I'm very grateful for. I'm starting to really like some of these characters that I didn't think I was going to like. Rios is different than I thought he was going to be. Elnor, which you haven't met yet, is actually a little bit of a comic relief character. Very surprised at that.
Interesting. All right. Well, I'm in. Listen, I'm in. I'm looking forward to I'm looking forward to it and interested to see what what's going to happen. I think here's my big of all the little nitpicks that I've got, my one big nitpick is, so you've got this advance warning. I don't know how much advance warning they had that the Hobus star was going to go nova.
I know how much the time the Federation had.
How much time did they have?
Before it blew, they knew about 10 years ahead of time.
10 years?
Yeah, the Romulans knew way longer than that. And then the Federation found out and confronted them about it, and they said, "Yes, this is happening. We do need some help, if you can." And
is this in Countdown?
Yeah, it's in Countdown. So the Federation, the Rescue Armada, was working for 5 years, and then in 2385, that's when the synth attack happened. When they stopped the Rescue Armada, they banned synths, which I can't tell you much beyond that because there's stuff in the next 2 episodes that happens, and they banned the synths, and then Picard left, and it was another 5 years after that the thing exploded. And I think they think we don't know yet. They think it's a natural occurrence. I don't think it's a natural occurrence. I think somebody sabotaged it and made it look like it was a natural occurrence.
Okay, so here's my big problem with this whole thing. Mm-hmm. So let's just go by the Federation knew for 10 years.
Yeah.
You got to how many? I don't know. How many people were on Romulus? 5 billion? 10 billion?
They said, I think it was more than that, but I once we get into past 300 people, my brain can't count anymore.
Okay. You've got that much time? You mean you can't evacuate your entire planet in 10 years? What kind of bullshit is that?
Yeah.
Wait,
yeah.
So wait a second. You mean Starfleet, which has hundreds of, if not thousands of ships, couldn't send those ships over there and start shuttling people back and forth? I mean, how far away do you need to get from this supernova?
Yeah. Well, they got to get out of the entire system, which that's no problem in Star Trek's universe.
Right.
Federation worked on it for 5 years. They pulled out, and then it was another 5 years after that it blew up. Lots of Romulans were saved, but their entire central hub was destroyed, and lots of Romulans were fighting them along the way the entire time, sabotaging. At one point in the Countdown comics, they actually kidnapped Picard and Raffi, and they were trying to steal his ship to stop the rescue, because a lot of Romulans felt that this rescue from this rescue armada from the Federation was another attempt for the Federation to take over and split up the Empire. So you know how Romulans are.
Yeah, which doesn't make any sense to me, because
Romulans are dicks.
It's like, why?
But also, I don't think it was a natural occurrence.
Interesting.
Because of the time frame, because of your time frame that you're talking about. I don't think it's a natural occurrence, or something happened that sped it up. Somebody did something that sped up that supernova situation.
Well, again,
I think it's part of
you have 10 years. Everyone has time to get off the planet.
Yeah, a lot of them did. Now they're all split up, and they're pretty pissed off about it. But I can't get into it because you got some information to learn in the next couple episodes.
All right. Then we will wait and learn our lesson in the next.
But I don't think it's going to help you with the timeline situation though, because the supernovas, it takes a long time, which is why I'm saying it doesn't make sense that it was fully natural. Something happened that sped it up.
Well, I just if the Federation found out and the start and go supernova for 10 years, everyone had an opportunity to get off that planet. You did not wait a second. Let me get this straight. So if we learn that the continent of Africa is going to sink under the sea, you mean the United States Navy is going to go, let's build a fleet of ships to go pick everyone up. Instead of just sending over the ships we got and shuttling them back and forth to South America 10 times, I'm going to build
first off, I don't think America would even do the rescue armada, but we would rely on the rest of the world to go ahead and do so. No, we would get them off. The world would get them off there some way, somehow. I think most Romulans, I can't imagine there was many people left on the planet after that, if any.
Shh. But, hey, quiet.
And I'll tell you, I'm not even. Mama, you be quiet, Mama. I'm not even ruling out the possibility that the Romulans supernovaed themselves, but I can't get into it.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
That's just anyway. That whole I just have a problem with the fact that they've known for so long, and that the Federation decided to build a rescue armada rather than just sending ships and shuttling people away. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But
I totally get that. I could think of a ton of scenarios of why that all happened. It could be as simple as Q snapping his fingers.
Right.
That's a total possibility. It could be some weird Nagilum Phantom Menace in there that made the thing explode. I can't get into it, but I also have a theory that the Romulans might have had something to do with it, but also, and I can speak to this, I have a theory. I came up with it like a couple weeks ago, and this latest episode makes me feel I was right. We haven't met any villains yet, I don't think. These Tal Shiars, these Romulans, the on the board Cube, the Federation people, I have a theory that not a single one of them are villains. We haven't met a villain yet. I think they're all working for what they think is the greater good, and it's information that no one else knows about, but a small group of secret people that what we see, because we don't know the information, as bad, what Picard sees as bad. I think once he learns some new information, everyone's going to have a mind shift of what's really going on.
Well,
but I can't get into it.
I'm looking forward to it nonetheless. We're gonna watch episode 4 and 5 this weekend, hopefully, and then I'll be caught up. And then next week we'll have to do a review show. But
we'll have a whole new episode by then too.
Yeah, I know, huh? Jeez. I got some great. Okay, we're gonna wrap this up. Thank you everyone for watching. But we're gonna have some great guests on in the next few weeks. Rob Pralgo, who played Captain April. Who's playing Captain April in Axanar. He was not able to make it tonight because his father's in the hospital. So he is going to join us maybe next week. I've got Tim Davies, one of our new artists. He's going to join, tell you about all the work he did on Star Trek Online. I will have JP Poole back, of course, again. I'm hoping to also have my new friend, a person I'm a longtime fan of, Pete Dominic from Sirius Satellite Radio. Who's just amazing. I'm hoping to have him on, which would be a total non-Star Trek episode of Axanar Confidential. And we're gonna have James. We'll have James Liu back, but it'll be a lot of fun. Things are going well. Listen, everyone, go and make sure you check out Trey McElwain's. Especially if you've been here the whole time. Unfortunately, my mistake. I saw that Trey was starting his live stream at 7. I'm going, oh great, he's going 7 and 8, so that won't be a problem. Well, he started at 7 his time, which was 8 my time. So unfortunately, we stepped all over Trey's live stream. which I've got to coordinate better because I know JP sometimes I'm stepping on your live stream, so I'm gonna have to make a map and put it on my computer and go, okay, I can't live stream at this time,
Oh,
So-
you can stream whenever you want.
No, man, I don't want to. I want to watch your live stream. I don't want to step on it. So please go and watch Trey's live stream. Interview with Steve Jepson, Admiral Slater, who so it's on Axanar Comics on his channel tonight. So please go do that. It's awesome, and I'm going to go back and watch it. So thank you all. And Stephen Ross, $5 Canadian super chat. Thank you, Stephen. He says Picard is good except for them having too many subplots going at once. Okay, cool. I'm okay with that.
I think all those subplots are gonna. Well, it'll be a while for you, Alec, but I think all those subplots are gonna be coming together in the next episode.
Oh, I bet they are.
Become one plot.
I bet they are. So, all right, everyone. Listen, as always, please go to the Ares Studios store and buy something and support us. That is the best way. Or go to our Patreon, /Ares Studios. Look who's awake. Here's Vader.
Aww.
This is Vader. Vader is one of the 3 Belgian Malinois, colloquially known as Maligators. What? What are you doing? What? Oh. He's so soft. Not as soft as Artemis, but he's soft and cuddly, and he's a sweetheart. Right? Aren't you a good doggy? You're a good doggy? Thank you. Okay, thank you. Yeah, what? I'm going to... Oh, my God, they're getting so big and so heavy.
Still a youngling, though.
Oh, my God, yes. They're just so sweet. So, anyway, we are going to get going. I had a good talk with one of our... the person whose name shall remain nameless, who was our backdoor channel at CBS during the lawsuit. He and I had a good chat today, and he said, "Yeah, I see you guys rescuing dogs all the time." He says, he says, "That's really nice of you." He says, "You're a good person, Alec." I said, "Oh, it ain't cause I'm doing Star Trek. That's not what I want to be remembered of. These dogs remember you. Every dog you save, that's another life." So please, I urge everyone out there, if you're going to get a dog, you go to your local shelter or you go to a rescue. You never buy a dog. You never pay anyone for a dog. Just go to your shelter, go to your rescue, and that's the best thing you can do, and it will make you happy. Steve Jessen, thank you. Eccleston Angel, Val, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys coming out. Donnie Pearson says, "I'm looking forward to new shows." Thank you, Alec, for another great show. Thank you, JP, for coming. See you all next week. Thank you all. We appreciate it. Live long and prosper, or as JP says,
Jaloja long and prosper.
We're all about the Star Trek, Seth Trek love. All right, guys, thank you so much. We appreciate it. We'll see you next Friday.
Bye.